Are you ready? Can Crushers. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah, Can Crushers. Yeah, Can Crushers. Let's go.
Hey, this is J-A-C, and crack you up a cold one. Sit down on your couch and listen to Can Crushers right now.
I suggest you do what JAC says and crack open one of the cold ones and have a beverage as you listen to Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Hello. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and I am excited to have my guest this week, the Queen City Killer, Clara Carter, coming on the show to talk about her journey into professional wrestling, maybe a little bit of JAC, maybe a little bit about WrestleCade. Who the hell knows where this is going to go? I don't even know if she's going to like me. I had to beg JAC, please, can we talk to Clara? And, well, this November, I guess he gets to punch me in the face. Guys, I am super excited to talk to Clara and find out the ins and the outs. And listen, if you know who she's trained by, and she's got a lot of other people in her back pocket too, but I'm not going to ruin anything. We're going to have to wait for the podcast so you get to know more about Clara Carter. So it's coming up, but of course we have to pay the bills. Guys, collar and elbow, hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool things that Al Snow and the Hooligans have over there at Collar and Elbow. Go and buy them up. From the Monday Night War shirts, to the Dusty shirts, to the Macho Man inspired shirts, to the ones that they pay remembrance from with Shad and Animal, and the list goes on and on. Go and buy those shirts. You've heard me talk about them for years now, about the quality, the amazing designs, and how they just don't go bad. They are my favorite t-shirts in my wardrobe. They're essentially my only t-shirts in my wardrobe because that's all I wear is wrestling stuff, and I love everything from Collar and Elbow. So if you go and buy some stuff at collarandelbowwrestling.com, use our promo code CANCRUSHERS. Capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. Smush it all together, and you'll save 10%. Don't forget, if you're heading over to the WWEshop.com for any of your new merch that WWE has out there, in the show notes we have an affiliate code. And we're very transparent. Sometimes you'll get a discount, sometimes you won't, but we'll help support our podcast, and that's awesome within itself. Guys, you know I'm a garbage man. I live off of Dubby. What is Dubby, Mark? Dubby is my favorite energy drink right now. It is amazing. 2 scoops in the morning. Some people say it might be some pre-workout stuff. I don't work out. My job is a workout. But energy drink is what it is. It gets you through the day. It keeps you focused. It's unbelievable. No carbonation, no crash, no calories, and there's tons of different flavors out there. But I will always tell you, buy Beach and Peach. It's unbelievable. That's what I have. That's what I continue to drink. 2 scoops in the morning, shake the shit out of it, and you'll be able to be good for the whole day. I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. Don't forget, we also have, we have a promo code for that, and it's Can Crushers. Imagine that. Don't forget, we also have merch. It's over at CrowdMade. So type in CrowdMade and then type in Can Crushers. When you're on the CrowdMade site, buy a hoodie, a tank, anything like that we have on there. Help support and show everybody when you're at an AML event, an IWC event, a New Era event, wherever you watch your professional wrestling, make sure you show everybody that you love Can Crushers. Don't forget, June 22nd is going to be our Ask Can Crushers, okay? So get your questions in. I know it's a long ways away, but we love giving you heads up. You can send them in on any of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, however you want to DM us, you can send us an email. Email's getting old apparently now. It's not the hip thing to do, but we continue to do it because we're not hip here on Can Crushers. We're crazy. CanCrushers69@gmail.com. Send your questions in. We'll answer them on air. We love doing these episodes, so make sure you get anything wrestling related in. Me and Sir Michael Jenks will answer it on air. Where do you listen? Wherever you want to. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podurama, the list goes on and on. Wherever your favorite platform is, we are there. Thank you for the support for all these years. I love it. We love it. So, all right, Clara's on the line, and I really want to get to her part of this podcast because you're tired of listening to how we pay the bills around here. So, here she comes.
Hey guys, it is the Spark, Jada Stone, and you already know they call me the Spark, but you can be the Spark as well if you tune into Can Crushers podcast because they're amazing over there. So be the Spark with me and tune in.
Welcome back to Can Crushers, folks. You heard how excited I was to talk to my guest this week, kicking ass and taking names wherever she is, and it's just in her nature. And her husband's as well. But welcome to the show, Clara Carter. Clara, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, you heard a little bit beforehand. The allergies, bit me in the rear today, and I'm like, oh man, of course, that's just the way it has to go, right?
Yeah, right.
Everything's doing well. You're getting set for more events and all of that.
Oh yeah, very busy.
Good.
Very busy.
Good. That's what we like to hear on for independent wrestlers. They stay busy each and every weekend, essentially. And I know you're tied to one of my favorites, AML. We talked about WrestleCade before.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what WrestleCade means to you.
WrestleCade is so fun because you get to see all these people that you grew up watching, and sometimes you'll get to be in the same signing room as them. Like for me, it was really cool this year because Jeff Hardy is my all-time favorite, and I was literally signing in the same room as him, and it was such a surreal moment for me. So WrestleCade is really the time of year where everybody just goes back to being a fan, and I think it's really cool.
I love the way you put that. That Hardy line was unbelievable last year. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
I think there's still people waiting in line for it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sure we'll talk more WrestleCade down the line, but let's dive into Clara Carter. I love this question right off the bat. Like, how did you get introduced to wrestling? Mom, Dad, Aunt Sally, Uncle Joe. How'd you find this crazy sport?
So I'm the middle of three, and I'm the only girl. So whatever the boys wanted on the TV is whatever was on the TV. And my older brother was just flipping through the channels one day, and he saw Shawn Michaels on the TV, and he just kept it on there. And it was Monday Night Raw, and every week we just started tuning in every Monday after that, and we just never stopped.
I'm not a middle child. I'm the baby. I don't know if you can tell from JC's interview that I'm pampered a little bit, but this is horrible. Is there really a middle child syndrome? Like you were just...
Yes, 100%.
Okay, I apologize then.
Yeah.
In two boys bookshelfing you really had no help, right?
Oh, no, I really didn't, because I was the only girl, so my mom gave me, a little bit of extra attention because I'm the only girl, but when it came to, what we wanted to do in the day, it was always them two. They always overpowered me.
Are you throwing shade to them right now? Are they going to listen to
Yeah,
this?
100%. Probably not. They don't care about me that much.
Oh, my God.
I'm the middle child. It's because I'm the middle child.
I get it. That's ruthless, but you swallowed it. You swallowed it greatly. So you brought up Jeff Hardy was one of your favorites, and you mentioned Shawn Michaels. Did you like him too, or did you hate him because your brother liked him?
Oh no, I loved Shawn Michaels. Whenever people always ask Shawn or Brett, I always say Shawn.
All right, well your interview's over. That's it.
No, you're a Bret Hart guy?
I am. I am.
Oh my gosh.
So, all right, we're going all over the place. This is just going to be the train wreck of train wrecks. Tell me, was the Montreal Screwjob a work or not?
You know, I think it was, but I think some parts of it were a shoot. Like some of the feelings involved.
I agree. I think by then Vince had already had some deals going on to buy WCW. So he knew that's why Brett was able to do the WCW right on live pay-per-view. But I think there was I love that you said the feelings because, listen, I don't know. I think spitting on somebody, like a hawker like he spit on Vince that day, it's one of the grossest things you can do to somebody. Just disrespectful. Yeah, so, okay. All right. I'm on your board. You got me back around. You did. So tell me about growing up. How did you transition to wrestling, essentially? Because I loop anything that you did as a child, because once you fell in love with it, and I say this every podcast, once you fall in love with the wrestling, it's a sickness. A good one, because we all love it, but it's a sickness. It's in you through and through. So how did you fall in love with it, and what sports did you do growing up?
So I grew up doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then I was on the amateur wrestling team in high school. I did Jiu-Jitsu because we're Brazilian, and my mom was like, you got to learn the craft because it only makes sense. And then I did amateur wrestling because I thought it would help in pro wrestling later on in life. And then when I graduated high school, I graduated during the pandemic, so I couldn't immediately transition into wrestling. I had to wait a year. But once the green light happened and everybody got the okay to go back to normal, I immediately signed up for Dr. Tom Pirchard Pro Wrestling School, and it all went from there.
When was that aha moment that you knew that you were going to sign up for wrestling? Because there's, again, sitting watching it with your brothers as a little kid, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. But, was it right through school that you're like, damn it, I'm doing this?
It was. Honestly, when I got my first job, I would always, every single paycheck I got, I put 25% into a savings account because I knew I would need money to pay for the wrestling school. So ever since I got my first job, I knew immediately that once I was grown up and ready to go into the real world, it was going to be wrestling.
So you knew essentially then, because you're talking to somebody from 47 that graduated, in 95. I didn't know independent wrestling happened until probably 2000. You knew about independent wrestling essentially then, growing up?
I did. Yeah, I did. Because when I would say around middle school age, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And in the neighborhood, somehow there was only boys in the neighborhood. And I got tired of playing manhunt and football. So I would stay inside. And I would watch WWE, and then I watch old WWF, WCW, ECW. I would watch it all, and I fell into independent wrestling. So that's how I kind of knew and figured out that that's how you climb your way up.
Did you go to a lot of events growing up?
I didn't go to a lot. I went to a few independent local ones in North Carolina. But yeah, I never it wasn't anything big. It was just really little, in a skating rink, little show.
You have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you pick Dr. Tom?
I was either going to go to Dr. Tom or to Booker T's school in Texas. And I live in North Carolina, so Texas is a long way away. And Dr. Tom at the time he was in Knoxville, Tennessee. Right now he's in La Follette, Tennessee. And it was just a 4.5-hour drive. So if I wanted to come home and visit my mom for a weekend, it would be an easy drive. And she felt a lot more comfortable with me being that close to home. And Dr. Tom Pirchard is the greatest coach of all time.
I mean, I'm not knocking him whatsoever. I didn't mean it like that. I just didn't know if it was a distance thing or not. And that does make sense, because you could have said because it's Dr. Tom Pirchard, Mark, there's no other reason. Right?
Right.
So let's talk about some of the training. When you went there, you're walking in as this, cocky, brash kid. Hey, I got this, da-da-da-da-da. How did you feel walking out the first night?
Into Dr. Tom's?
Yeah.
I already heard horror stories from the main roster WWE guys that came up training under Dr. Tom, all the blow up drills, all the cardio. I already heard horror stories. So I was a little bit prepared, but when I actually started doing the drills, I thought he was trying to kill us. And he spent the first week trying to see who wants it and who just thinks that it's cool, who actually wants to be there. And there was a few kids in my class that quit after the first week. There was one kid that quit after the first day, but I knew that once I finished these 3 months with Dr. Tom, I would be unstoppable, because not a lot of people nowadays can say that they are trained under Dr. Tom Pirchard.
Yeah, that's a hell of an accomplishment you have right there. If you never do anything else in professional wrestling, to say that you were trained by Dr. Tom is unbelievable. It really is. So, first match then. Talk about that.
Oh, gosh.
What were do you go back and watch it? All the questions that you think I have in my head, answer them all. This is story time now by Clara.
My first match was terrible. It was 4 weeks after I first stepped foot in Dr. Tom's school, because there was a local company a few hours down the road that really needed a woman, and Dr. Tom was like, well, you are pretty solid with 4 weeks training. Let's just throw you in. It's not going to be good, so don't beat yourself up about it, but it's experience. And it was terrible. I still have the match on my phone, and every once in a while I like to humble myself and I just rewatch it, and it is so bad. And I would hope nobody ever sees it. It's for my eyes only, but
it's nowhere else. Nobody else has this.
I hope not. Not that I know of.
Okay. As you watch it now, and I know the wrestler in you and all of that, can you actually look at it and say, holy shit, I'm a professional wrestler, and it started right there?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I still wake up sometimes and I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm actually living the dream that I had ever since I was 5 years old.
That's a great feeling, right? And you're still a baby in the sport.
Mm-hmm. And in life, I'm only 22.
Well, and in life too. I didn't want to completely throw that out there, but and in life too, yeah. You're a baby. From that match until a year later, and then a year after that, what do you see that has really lit a fire under you and improved and all of that?
Honestly, my confidence got a lot better. I train now under the City Bruiser, and he was trained by Harley Race, and he trains us the way that Harley trained him. So it's very similar to Dr. Tom's, and that constantly motivates me every single day I'm in there, because I'm very used to hard, you're sweating, no AC, because that's how it was at Dr. Tom's. And that really, I don't know what it is about it, but it really just keeps you humble and it keeps you hungry, because you're in there with people that are constantly motivating you, because no one's going to work out and get sweaty and roll around with somebody in a place with no AC just for fun. People don't do that for fun,
Right.
So everybody that's in the training really just motivates each other, and we constantly remind each other why you're doing it and why you're there, really.
It's a family. Say it that way. It really is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've talked to several of you down there, yins down there, however we want to say it. But you all say the same thing, that blood, sweat, and tears, you'll beat the hell out of each other. But, at the end of the day, there's an arm, there's a hand, there's something to help each other up and critique and help. That's awesome.
Right.
You don't get that everywhere.
No, you really don't.
And if you stop, this is me right now, if you stop wrestling today, and again, I said Dr. Tom, but now you have Beer City, who was Harley Race as well. Holy God, that is unbelievable. there's people that are biting at the bit to get, trained by one, and you're getting both.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm so unbelievably lucky. I have no idea what I did to fall into this, but it's crazy.
So the conversation with mom, hey, I'm really getting into professional wrestling. How's that go?
Well, I first told her when I was like 5. I was like, Mom, I want to wrestle. And she was like, oh, okay, that's cute. She just thought it was a phase because both of my brothers wanted to wrestle, but they grew out of it and are doing their own thing now. But for me, I, for some reason, never grew out of it. And when time came to start thinking about college and stuff like that, my mom was like, we got to start figuring out college, start saving up. What do you want to do? And I said, Mom, I honestly, really, truly want to be a wrestler. And my mom is the greatest mother in the world. I'm so blessed to have her. And she told me, she said, as long as you're happy, I don't care what you do. And so we sat down and we came up with a game plan, and she's been supportive every step of the way. And it's just been amazing.
You have an amazing mother. I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but that's the same thing I tell my 17-year-old. If you want to lick the road clean, go ahead and lick it to the best of your ability, dude. I don't care as long as you're happy in life. It's too short, right, Clara?
Right, yeah. It's way too short. And I never want to live with regrets. And my mom, I'm a first-generation American, and my mom and my dad both sacrificed so much for us to be able to grow up and be able to have the opportunity to chase our dreams. So she's fully supportive of anything I do.
Does mom help make merch?
Oh, yes, 100%. She has to approve.
She has to approve. I love it.
Yeah.
Who is Clara? Who is Clara Carter? If we give 3 wrestlers of who you are, beg, borrow, or steal, because that's essentially professional wrestling, and I don't mean it mean. Who are the 3 that come to your mind when you think of Clara? I switched it up on you because I gave JAC the 3, and then, see, I want to hear your 3, then I'll give them back to you.
My 3, I see when I look at myself, I really want so bad to be like Shawn Michaels because he was Mr. WrestleMania. I want to be the greatest of all time. I've always said that ever since I was a kid. That's why I looked up to Shawn Michaels, because I think he's the greatest of all time. And so I always, I'm in there, I'm always trying and striving to be in the position that he's in. I see Dean Malenko because he's a very technical wrestler, very mat-based. And then I also see Jazz because she's such a bad bitch.
Nice. I have 2 of those 3. Honest Engine, and I'll show you right now. I'll send you a picture. I had Hardy, kind of just because, I don't know, I'm taking the North Carolina thing into aspect, and I know, you overall, you're in North Carolina now, so I'm like, She had to have loved North Carolina. I see Dean when I saw your match at WrestleCade, and when I watched some of your stuff on there. I see Dean because you were always grappling. I put Baszler though, Shayna Baszler, to keep it like now because you're a bad bitch, and Shayna's a bad bitch. Those were my 3. So close, good. Well, I knocked 2 of them out of the park, but you're all right with Shayna.
Oh my God, yeah, I love her. She's so great.
I love that you brought up Jazz. We're gonna stick and stay on Jazz real quick. She does not get enough love. We need to put Jazz on a pedestal and let people know. She was just stuck in that era, and I hate to say it that way.
Yeah, she's so great. And even now, like what she's doing with the women in NWA, she still doesn't get enough credit. I think that she has one of the best minds for not only women's wrestling, but wrestling in general. And she finds a way to include old school, but make it exciting in this day and age.
Yeah, I just had somebody on recently that is in and around NWA a lot, and she said the same thing. I said, there was a moment that even after COVID, NWA kind of went down again, but holy hell is it hot right now. It is so hot right now. I love NWA again. All right, let's pause from wrestling and then let's do some nerd stuff. I want to know, Clara has a day off. You're not going to go to the gym. You're just going to be a bum. What do you do?
Honestly, you're going to think I'm lying because I'm only 22, but I genuinely love to stay home and just clean the apartment and just get all my chores done. I really genuinely like that. I don't know why.
The stay-at-home thing is great. I love that. But to be a 22-year-old, I'm going to give you my son's phone number. I want you to text him and tell him cleaning is not a bad thing. Yes, it's great. It's euphoric sometimes. That sounds really weird on a wrestling podcast, but it's good to do. It really is.
It is. It's very therapeutic, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so you get done cleaning now. What do you nerd out about? You have to have some crazy ass shit.
I've been rewatching The Walking Dead recently. I love The Walking Dead. I've been rewatching Supernatural. I'm not really big on like just sitting down and watching TV, but I'll always pop on Netflix and watch either Supernatural or The Walking Dead.
Okay. Favorite genre of music and what's your number one song right now?
Oh my gosh. It really depends on the day. My number one song right now is by Escape the Fate, and it's called Dearly Departed.
I don't know them, but I'm now intrigued. I am.
It's more of a rock band.
Wait, you're saying I can't listen to rock? You think all I do is listen to Taylor Swift? Nothing against Taylor Swift, because I love Taylor Swift, but...
Oh, no. I think we got to end the podcast.
Oh, you're ending the podcast now. Okay. Guilty pleasure. What's one of the things that you don't want people to know that you know, are you eating a pound of cheese a day or anything like that?
My guilty pleasure is... Yeah, every time I go grocery shopping, I meal prep for us for the week, but I always, always, always need to have a little sweet treat after lunch and after dinner.
Okay. That's really not that bad. It isn't. All right, random questions. I know that was like some random questions thrown in there too, but let's go to the past guest, and here is her question to you.
Hey guys, it's Chelsea Lyons, and the question that I want to ask the next guest is what inspired your wrestling look? Like the actual look that you take out to the ring, what's the inspiration behind that?
Oh my gosh, I have two. So my, when I wear the cargo pants, the camo, a lot of people think Dudley Boys.
Exactly.
And it is kind of Dudley Boys, but we originally... Me and JAC, when Jay Briscoe passed away, he was very close with the City Bruiser. And we had a show that weekend, and we decided it would be a nice way to like pay tribute to Jay and to Bruiser by kind of wearing Briscoe inspired attire. So when the Briscoes wore their camo and their cool pants and everything, and we wore that, and then people just told me, they said, I love that look on you. So that stuck. And then I've been recently kind of venturing out and wearing kind of like a long one piece type of thing. And that is completely my gear designer. She just came up with an idea and I thought it looked gorgeous. So that might be the new gear. So stay tuned for some new gear in the future because she really popped off with that design.
I can't wait to see that. But I love paying, homage essentially to the Briscoes and then kind of giving Beer City as well. I really thought, and I'm sure 99% of America thought it was because you were a Dudley fan as well. Do you like the Dudleys?
I love the Dudleys. Okay. They're so great.
When you wrap back around the WrestleCade, this isn't one of the silly questions, but wrap back around the WrestleCade real quick. Do you get starstruck when... some wrestlers in it? I know you guys, especially AML, you guys have big names coming all the time down there. But is there somebody you're like, oh man, I'm going to be talking to the Dudleys or Kane or yada 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 or anybody that's down there?
For me, I have one for men and one for women. For the men, it was Jeff Hardy. Because when I met him last year, I didn't want to meet him because it was one of those things where like you don't want to meet your idol because you don't want to be disappointed. I didn't think he was going to disappoint me, but I just like had a picture painted in my mind of what he was, and I didn't want like it to be ruined or anything. And Bruiser knows both Matt and Jeff from Ring of Honor.
Right.
And he literally had to drag me to Jeff so that I could have a conversation with him. And I am happy to say that Jeff Hardy is everything that I thought he would be. He is the nicest, most humble person ever. He is so great. And for the women, I got to kind of drive around with Medusa. And that was very, like, pinch me moment for me.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You were 100% correct on Jeff. I didn't probably have the personal interaction that you did with him, but everything he did last week, this is turning out to be a WrestleCade promo, by the way. Tracy, you have to throw me some money. But everything that he did and all, he was just unbelievable. You know that he loves his fans, his workers, his people, all of that.
Oh, yeah. He's so great.
Okay, ready? 5 completely stupid, silly, thought-provoking questions.
Okay.
If you could instantly become one, what would you want to be an expert in? You cannot say wrestling for any of these, by the way.
Okay. I would want to be an expert in sign language because I've always wanted to learn.
I like it. That's always in my thoughts, too. I sound like a broken record with you, Clara. I apologize. But you're on the same page. Like, I want to learn sign language. I'm just an idiot, and sometimes I can't text. So why would I think that I could
Right.
do sign language? What's the worst job you've ever had?
Oh my goodness. My first job was a hostess at a restaurant, and it was not a bad job. The people there were just so terrible. The guys in the kitchen especially were just so terrible to be around. I hated going to work every single day. So it wasn't a bad job, but the people there made it a terrible job.
Yeah, people can do that. The public sometimes.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't say that as ring announcer, or a professional wrestler. We love the public.
Right.
If you had to delete all but 3 apps on your phone, what 3 apps are you keeping?
I'm keeping Spotify for music and podcasts. I'm keeping Instagram because I kind of am required to post on there for my wrestling. And then I would keep Facebook too because I do a lot of my business on Facebook. I guess I should keep that.
What one bad habit are you trying to get rid of?
Oh gosh. I am my biggest critic, and some would say that's a good thing, but I do it so much to where it's a bad thing. And my bad habit is I'm never happy with any match I have because I always find one thing that I did not like and I hyper focus on that thing. It doesn't matter how good the match was, I'll always just find something I don't like about it. So I need to work on that in myself to just be okay with how something is.
With those critiques, this is a follow-up from that, so that doesn't count. With those critiques, and you ask anybody behind the curtain, do you listen to them, or do you hear them because you're so focused on that you hit the turnbuckle wrong or something?
Mm-hmm. I listen to critique. I am very, to an extent, I'll listen to critique if it comes from like George South or City Bruiser, somebody that has been where I want to be. If somebody who themselves is not a good wrestler, I'm not going to listen to your critique. I'll hear it, but I'm not going to, beat myself up over your critique. And I say that in the most respectful way possible, but there's a lot of people who are just barely in the business and they're already critiquing and trying to coach and trying to teach. And I'm like, buddy, just calm down.
Like, you're not listening to what I'm going to tell you, right?
Yeah.
Clearly.
No, I'll listen to fans too. I send my matches to my brothers because I feel like they know nothing about the business. They only know from a fan's perspective. So if they really like a match, then I'm okay with it. Because they are my biggest haters also. They are very critical.
Oh, so they do get back to you. You were not the middle child anymore.
Well, it takes them a few business days, but
Oh.
eventually.
Okay. Is there money involved? Hey, please watch this for $5 or anything? No, I'm kidding. Last stupid question, and then we'll truck back along into the wrestling world. If you were to die, what would you want to come back as?
I would want to come back as a cat because we have 2 cats and all they do is sleep all day, and I think that's great. And I would not complain if I was a cuddly cat. I'd have to be a house cat, not made for the street.
Not a stray cat. Yeah, you're not. No. So you have a ton of people in your back pocket. You know, Dr. Tom and Beer City and the litany of people in and out of AML and everywhere else you go. What's the best advice you've gotten, though, from, like, behind the curtain?
Honestly, it was... Bruiser always says, enjoy the journey. And I need to constantly tell myself that every day because there's a lot of aspects of professional wrestling on the indies especially that are very frustrating and very easy to beat yourself up about, and he constantly tells me, like, just enjoy the journey, just relax, just calm down, like, enjoy where you're at now. And then Dr. Tom, last time I saw him, which was 2 or 3 weeks ago, he told me about me being so critical about myself. He said, if you don't like a match, there's nothing you can change about it, just move on. Go to training, work on what you need to work on. If it wasn't your fault, don't worry about it because you can't change it. So there's no reason in just keeping yourself in that mindset because you're only hurting yourself.
That may be, no disrespect to Bruiser, but that may be the best thing I've ever heard because the match is over.
Yeah.
Take that bump in your mind for half an hour after the match or something, if you were responsible for the hiccup in the match. If not, even take that bump for half an hour in your mind and say, all right, that is history. Just let it go. It's already on tape. Right. It's already whatever. Everybody, the millions of people have already watched it. You can't change it. I think that's a great one in life, too.
Oh, yeah.
Clara, what would you change, though, about professional wrestling? There's good, there's bad, you know, there's stigmas around it, yada, yada, yada. But what would you want to change if you had a magic wand?
I was talking to Dr. Tom about this, too. I will never be bitter at professional wrestling because professional wrestling owes nobody anything. We owe pro wrestling, and the biggest thing that I get frustrated with in wrestling is the people, because there's a lot of egocentric people that make wrestling kind of difficult sometimes. So I would just change everybody's mindset and kind of keep them in the mindset of, this is my dream and I'm here to make it better than how it was when I got here. And Bruiser tells us all the time that he's here to leave wrestling better than it was when you came in. Yeah. So I would have everybody have that same mindset.
And that's rough because, as you said and I said, you have 2 of the best. They've been places that a lot of people in professional wrestling will not go. But you have, this is a name that's made up, folks, Bob Jones in the locker room 6 months in that thinks he's God's gift to everything. Yeah. Been there. I've seen them. So, yes, I completely understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. How much wrestling do you get to watch now? I know you've mentioned everything from ECW to Indies. Mm-hmm. How much time do you give yourself each week to watch wrestling?
I try to watch a little bit of it every day. The only thing I can't watch is like Raw or SmackDown. I can't really watch the pay-per-views because we're usually booked on those same days, so I can't watch it live. I always have to go back whenever I have time. But every day, I really mainly focus on like old school wrestling just because people don't really watch that anymore. So what's old is new. Yep. So I try to pull from the old days.
That's perfect because lead-in question, it's almost like you knew some of these questions coming up. I don't know. Who are you doing tape study on right now? I know you said you like Malenko. Are you still watching some of his stuff, and how far back do you go?
Bruiser sometimes will give us somebody from like the 80s or the 70s that we'll watch and we'll study up on them. But right now, I'm really watching a lot of William Regal.
brilliant. Brilliant. I like that. Favorite storyline of all time?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of good ones. I really enjoyed, this is going to sound crazy, but I loved the CM Punk and the Jeff Hardy storyline just because it was so backwards to me. Like, Jeff Hardy was preaching about, like, partying, living your best life, and people were cheering for him, and CM Punk was telling us to say no to drugs, and we were booing him. It would just made no sense to me.
Really did.
So it was so backwards to me. But it was very entertaining.
But you were so Jeff anyway, right? You're like, I like to party. I like to party.
Yeah, and my mom never liked wrestling, and she would sit there and watch, and she's like, Clara, I think the other guy's right. I think Jeff Hardy might be wrong here. And I'm like, no, Mom, you're not listening to the right stuff.
It's all about party, Mom. Beastie Boys. We talked a lot of fun things. You have to have an embarrassing moment. Please tell me.
God.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, my God. In wrestling or in life?
Well, if you have two, that's even better.
In life, I'm very clumsy, so I embarrass myself just about every day when I'm at work because I always trip over my feet, which is so weird because I pride myself on having very good footwork in the ring, but outside of the ring, I fall a lot. But in wrestling, it was in the middle of a match, and it was a triple threat, and I slid out of the ring, and I sat on the stage, and I did not know there was a nail poking up.
Oh,
and
shit.
when I went to hop down, the nail not only cut me, but it also ripped my pants. And I was so embarrassed, and I wanted to just roll up and go home, but I still had to finish this match. And I got to the back, and I did not know how deep this nail cut me. I didn't need stitches, but it left a scar. Like, I still have a scar on my butt from this nail.
Did you get a tetanus shot? Listen, wrestling rings are sometimes a little bit filthy. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Luckily, I did. But I was so shocked that I didn't see the nail before I sat on it, and I was so shocked that it cut me. I was just shocked about the whole situation.
We're not talking, and this isn't being any weirdo, we're not talking like rip pants all the way off, just like rip down.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It was literally, I got so lucky, it was right under my butt. So I got so lucky, they only saw thigh. I got so lucky. The Lord was looking out for me that day.
Yeah, he was. Joking aside, I'm glad you're okay, and I know it's a scar, but I'm glad there could have been worse. Like, nails are deadly.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Goals for 2024. What do you got? Where do you want to go?
I really want to wrestle in Florida. I really want to wrestle in Texas. And I really want to wrestle in California. I want to do all three of those by the end of the year.
Okay. Is there anybody that you'd like that's on the independent circuit right now or anything that you'd really like to have a match with?
One of my dream matches on the independents was Savannah Evans, and I am the only girl in North Carolina that has not wrestled her. And
You're kidding me, right?
Isn't it crazy? And I was supposed to wrestle her literally yesterday, but the rain stopped it, and I was so mad because it didn't even rain. And they canceled the show because the weather was so unpredictable. But it's literally sunny today. And it looked like the world was going to end yesterday. I was so mad.
Well, maybe that should be a WrestleCade match of this year then.
Now
we're booking it for you, Tracy. What else do you need us to do?
Right.
That would be amazing. How about, all right, so you want to knock those 3 states off and anything else, I'm sure, but and I know your lifetime goal is WWE, AEW, one of the bigs, without a doubt. But and beyond, like, what is your purpose then for professional wrestling, I guess?
I really want to, I said this one time to somebody, I'm not going to say whose name, and they laughed at me, but I really want to be one of the best, not only women's wrestlers, but one of the best wrestlers. Because I pride myself in doing everything that the guys do. I'm the only girl in our training center, and I hang with the top guys. And there was literally a kid last week that couldn't even do one push-up, and he was talking crap to me the week before. And I was like, buddy, calm down. Do a push-up and then, come talk to me. But after it's all said and done, I want to be one of the best wrestlers to ever do it. And I also would love to open my own training school and kind of pass on the knowledge that Bruiser gave us from Harley and that Dr. Tom gave me, and just really keep passing on their energy, really, because they both have the best minds in this business, I think. And I would love to keep their knowledge flowing for generations to come.
You are part of that lineage now, so I would imagine both of them would back you, because I think you are probably, don't know you personally, you know this, and everybody else on here does, you got a pretty good head on your shoulders. So I think they would back you to say, yeah, this is the next Dr. Tom /Harley /Bruiser training center that everybody should go to. I could say, you're a baby yet, though. Remember, you have about 40 years before you think of that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not 40, but you know what I mean. And whoever said that to you, I want to smack in the face, because that's not to laugh at you for wanting to be one of the best wrestlers in the world. F him, her, whoever said it to you, because that's an ignorant thing to say to anybody in wrestling, in life. Why was this person trying to shit on your dreams, essentially? That's wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was just so confused, because, like, why are you going to do something and not want to be the best? Like, man or woman,
Right. Yeah. Stupid. All right, so you brought up a dream match that you have kind of on the indies that the rain took away, that it never rained because the rain was down in Africa clearly that day. Total reference, sorry. Overall dream match, though, Clara, who would you love to be in the ring with, where, and in which stipulation do you want in a match?
I would love to wrestle Rhea Ripley, because I feel like my style and her style would make for a very hard-hitting and physical match. And it would literally just have to be a singles, one-on-one, no stipulation. Hopefully at WrestleMania one day. That'd be really cool.
Do you want WrestleMania any place special, like North Carolina or something?
I would, yeah. Let's do North Carolina, yeah.
We need a WrestleMania in North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't think North Carolina is ever in question. Like,
it's never in question. Yeah, it's not. I don't understand why. Like, some of today's greatest is in North Carolina. Some of history's greatest is in North Carolina. Why has WrestleMania never been in North Carolina?
I don't know. And so many legends live in North Carolina, so they wouldn't need to spend a lot of money for travel, because so many of them already live here. Like Ric Flair, Arn Anderson lives here. Like, there's so many people that live here. Sergeant Slaughter lives here, which is so weird. I never thought he would live here.
Magnum's right down there, too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right. This is your time. Give everybody your socials, where you're going to be in the next couple of weeks, any merch that you want to leak out there, sell. Can they buy it from you online? Yada, yada, yada.
If you buy my merch online, if you DM me and you want me to ship you some merch, I might do it if I'm feeling nice that day. But most of the time, you got to come to my merch table. I mainly post on Instagram. Facebook is more for business. My Instagram is @Clara Wrestling. I got to get better about posting on there. I was literally thinking about this while I was at work. Yeah, and then this weekend we're at Pile Driver Pro in Tennessee. We might be somewhere else on Saturday, and then Sunday is the AML show in Knoxville, North Carolina.
Yeah, and make sure you guys sign up for AML. Watch it. I sit in Pennsylvania, I watch it. I love AML. I'm one of your nerds that watches it up here. And, yeah, it's unbelievable what they do. They are one of, because there's one in Pittsburgh that near and dear to my heart, but they are one of the greatest indies. Like, without a doubt. AML and IWC blow a lot of people out of the water. I'm telling you that.
And Brian and Tracy are just good people. They're genuine, great people. And they really believe in their talent. And they give us so many tools to succeed. And they do so much for us that we don't deserve. They are so great.
I've never spoken to Brian, but Tracy and I have had a few conversations online, offline, at WrestleCade, yada, yada, yada. He remembers me year after year. It's probably because I have an ugly face and I bother him. But he just, hey, Mark, how you doing? As soon as I walk in on that, Friday at noon, he's, hello. So he's unbelievable, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Did I forget anything? Do you want to talk about anything else? Is there something you want to announce, like, hey, I'm going to do this, or anything like that?
I honestly don't think so.
Hit
everything.
Wrapped it all up in a nice nutshell, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Clara, this has been a blast. Honestly, I can't wait to see you at WrestleCade again this year. I will blatantly come up and say, hey, I am Mark from Can Crushers. And then you and JAC will punch me in the face, and then I'll probably have to come back for Pennsylvania.
Yeah. JAC will punch you. Me, it depends on the day.
It does depend on the day with you. It does. JAC already hates me. I know he does. Thank you, dear.
Thank you so much. This was honestly my favorite podcast I've ever done. I'm not even lying. So thank you so much.
Tune in for a tune-up. You're listening to Can Crushers with Amber Nova.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen City Killer, Clara Carter. She may be my friend. I don't know. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see at WrestleCade, because that's essentially when it's on the docket that I'll see her. So when we head down to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at the end of November. If you don't have them right now, WrestleCade tickets are on sale. Tracy Myers is amazing. WrestleCade's one of my favorite things in life, let alone per year. But again, this is about Clara Carter. So unbelievable. Listen, I knew the trainers. I really did. I knew the trainers, but I didn't, and this is shame on me, so maybe we'll have to have Clara back on. She's got George South in her back pocket as well, which is unbelievable. From, Dr. Tom to Beer City, who is essentially Harley Race as well, in George South. Holy cow. That is a litany of wrestling knowledge right there. You hear it in the podcast, what she wants to do with her life, continue to be one of the greatest out there in hopes to own her own facility to train, which is awesome. I think that the lineage is there, as I said during a podcast. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I love this podcast because of just that. Hearing the stories about how she discovered wrestling. She had to watch it with her brothers. It was kind of forced on her. And she was the only one in the family. Yeah, brothers, if you're listening, I'm throwing some shade on you. The only one in her family that stuck with her dream and is knocking it out of the ballpark. This is unbelievable. I'm so happy for her. We're going to have an issue, I think, down the line about HBK and Bret Hart, but we'll just leave that at that. Some great advice that you've heard from Clara, not only behind the scenes in professional wrestling, but in life. It is just, listen, wrestling is a sport. It's entertainment and everything, but you don't know the lessons that you can get from that family that I always say behind the scenes that can help move you forward in life and in the business. So, the Queen City Killer, Clara Carter, thank you once again for coming on the show. It meant a lot, and yeah. All right, guys, that's it for this week's Can Crushers Wrestling Spotlight. We'll see you next week, but don't forget that Ask Can Crushers is coming up June 22nd. Get in your questions, any which way you want to. You heard them in the beginning of the show, so we can do that on our weekly show. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.